This is called the 2024 Misery Ranking Grand Slam. And I'll tell you,
Grand Slam.
yes.
It's called the Grand Slam?
Yes.
Now it's interesting.
I'll tell you why this is
I better get a colorful see-through calculator with those like neon buttons on it.
Yes, you should. I'll tell you why this is interesting.
Okay.
This post went viral in China. So viral to the point where usually the Chinese government will take a post and just wipe it from the earth. They have the ability to go like this. It's like a modern day police state. They can literally just...
Like that woman in the chain woman.
Yes.
Try find
Gone.
her online. Impossible.
Gone.
You want to find out what happened to her? You can't.
You can't because they wiped it out.
Yeah.
Even after all this like crap that was going on with everyone trying to figure it out, right?
Yep.
Independent journalists there. It's gone off the Chinese internet, right? Yep. This post went so viral so quickly that not only could they not remove it in time, it went so viral that it spurred a massive discussion in China that has freaked the F out of the government to unprecedented levels. Do you remember, explain lie flat to everyone.
That was when everybody was giving up. Well, there was this idea that it's too difficult to actually make it and become successful in modern Chinese society, that it's better to just do as little as possible and just float by.
Yes.
And they didn't like that.
No.
They didn't like that at all. So they tried their best to kind of change that whole thing and get rid of it.
So this is bigger than that, which is crazy because that was like a crazy phenomenon the government was like really upset about. They're like, the economy is going to go away if everyone starts giving up.
Yeah, if the young people that are supposed to be entering the workforce are just coasting by and living off their meager amount of allowance from their parents or something and chilling out and lying out in the shade in the park on their phone all day.
Right.
You know?
Because that's all the ambition's gone, right?
Yeah.
So go to the next slide. And then
it's like why bother type thing.
Yeah, it's like why bother. This is now become a new catchphrase in China, and it's called the garbage time of history. And it was spurred on by this. So basically, this person made this kind of ranking system about like what are your physical attributes or what are your talents and what you can do in this economy.
Sure.
Right? And in China, remember, you're supposed to, the world's your oyster, right? The economy's doing great. We're going to lead the world, not like sluggish America, you know, like America's in decline. We're going to take over.
Sure.
This person put the bitter truth out there.
Yeah.
And it took off like wildfire. Right?
Yes.
So it says, if you have good physical strength and a strong body, you can participate in a triathlon. What are your options?
You can become a takeaway, express delivery driver, or a DD, which is like a Uber driver.
Yeah. So if you lose your job, which a lot of people, employment's through the roof in China right now.
So this is if you lose your traditional job, what can you do?
Because unemployment's so crazy right now.
Yeah.
If you get old and you can still move, participate in 3 lucky treasures. What are those?
Security, cleaning, or a nanny. So security is like a baoan, and you see this a lot. It's probably it's the opposite of what you would think if you say security.
Yes.
You know, when you go somewhere here, you go somewhere and there's like security guards. They're usually, well, here in America, they're either really jacked up, and they wear those like vest security, and they're like mean looking, and they really take their job seriously, or they're just massively fat. But it doesn't matter.
But they also take their job seriously.
They take their job seriously. They just...
They have a tactical
I'm not worried about them. Let's put it this way. If I were to do something, like I walk into a shopping mall and a Price Chopper or something, and there's like a grape there, and I like eat it in front of them, and they try to chase me, I'm good. I can actually just walk. I can just walk. But you know, the thing is, security is, they're there to enforce security.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But in China, the security guards are usually these old men that wander around with their hands behind their back, and it's more just a presence that they're there.
Yeah.
They can't do anything, and they never do.
No.
You can steal or break, you can smash a window, and they'll be like, don't do that.
Yes.
That's it.
Another thing I'd like to add on about these jobs so far is you're making like a couple $100 a month.
Yes,
right?
very little, very little. So cleaning sucks. That's those like street sweepers and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean they're making nothing, right?
Security is the old guys meandering around or sitting in a little booth somewhere just to be there. And the nanny is to look after kids, obviously. If
you're unwilling to work hard and take part in the entrepreneurship trilogy.
Okay, so what is that? Setting up stalls, opening stores, and self-media.
So these basically these live stream people that have to sell like grapes or something on the side of the road, right? And that's also people look down on that.
Yeah, self-media. So what are you talking about, like streaming and stuff? Yeah, so that type of thing.
If you pursue quality of life, join the pseudo-middle-class trilogy. This really hurt the CCP, this one.
Coffee, milk tea, and baking.
So you can, if you have enough money to start a shop, you set up a coffee shop, a milk tea shop, and baking. This is facetious, by the way, because these all go under, because they're like
every single time. Yeah, a pseudo-middle-class trilogy. I like that.
Anyway, it goes on and on, but go to the next slide. They actually ranked the Grand Slam. The CCP freaking hates this post because this is reality for people now.
So unemployment is a one-star happiness rating, right?
Yeah.
Unemployment plus mortgage loan is 2 stars.
That's if you're unemployed and you have a mortgage.
Which has happened a lot.
A lot.
You know all these shills that keep going on about like in China they have 90% home ownership or something. 0%, we've already told everyone no one can own a home.
No.
Only the government can own land and property.
Yes.
You can lease it for 70 years, not even your entire lifespan.
It can be taken away from you whenever.
Depends on if you're like a crazy person or not, because 70 might be more than your lifespan. But I'm just saying, for most people that live a normal life, you would not keep it for your whole life.
No.
Okay, so on top of that, home ownership just means someone's gotten a loan to get something. Doesn't mean they actually own it.
No.
So they're paying it off, right? So part of Chinese culture is to own property, not only for the marriage thing, but also it's the only way to really invest.
Yeah.
So a lot of people own stuff like, well, they own a lease. They're tied into a lease, but they still have to pay it off. So if you get unemployed and you have to pay it off, now you're in a 2-star misery. Then you got 3-star, which is unemployment plus mortgage plus debt.
Mm-hmm.
You know that mortgage is debt, by the way?
It is.
So what is like that's additional debt? Like I guess if you owe money to somebody else, shadow banks or gambling, or the money that you borrowed to actually put your deposit down.
A lot of
for your
people have
mortgage.
like a little shop somewhere else, and they pay that off.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children. Now we're looking at a 4-star.
4-star general.
Yeah, exactly. Next, unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading. Yes. Now, that's one thing in China that... Remember when I predicted the stock market crash like 2 weeks or something before in China, a massive one? Yeah. I was like, guys, stop, because the cleaning ladies and things were doing stock market
That's
things.
When it's a bad sign.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah. And then it was massive. People were jumping off buildings. It was terrible.
Crazy.
Anyway, the stock market is very bad to invest in China. Okay, so that's why now you got a 5-star. Remember, unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading plus illness. Yeah, now you're really messed up.
6-star general.
Guys, if you've ever had to deal with the hospitals in China, you will know that it's not like most other places.
Oh my
You have to pay before they even see you.
Yep.
You have to line up, or if you're too sick, you have to get someone else to line up for you to pay to get a little medical book to say you can go see the doctor, and then it's very expensive. People don't understand how expensive it is. The government doesn't pay for your medical. It's supposed to be a socialist, communist, whatever. Not when it comes to medication.
Not free.
You have to pay for it. And if you compare the price of paying for like fixing a broken leg or something in China compared to, say, the US, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But people earn so little in China that it's the same or more.
Yeah. Any major surgery or like cancer treatment stuff in China is outlandishly expensive.
Yeah, and you get skewed because if you live in China and you go get treated for a cold or something, it's really cheap.
Really cheap, yeah.
Because they give you some generic drug and it's very cheap to get it.
Chinese medicine.
Yeah, Chinese medicine. And it ends up costing you like $10, $20 or something. You're like, wow, this is so cheap. Oh, well, just try get something serious done and you'll see it's really expensive. Yeah. Next, we've got unemployment plus mortgage plus debt plus raising children plus stock trading plus illness plus house failure. Are we talking about the rotten tail type stuff? So a lot of people, they take out a mortgage on a property, right? And it doesn't get finished. So now you're in debt, you're paying this mortgage, and then the construction company either goes bankrupt and doesn't finish the project, or they keep kicking the can down the road and they refuse to do it, or if they do finish the building, it's such poor quality and crap. So you basically have a mortgage and debt for something that doesn't exist.
Yep.
And isn't it so stupid, by the way? You know, you get a 70-year lease, 70-year. But I know people who bought properties, and the lease is based on when the construction company got the lease for the land. So they bought properties that only have like 40 years left. So when they bought it, they're only getting 40 years.
How about when the government just decides they want that area and then the houses go away anyway?
Yeah, of course.
Remember, we were in a village where that was what happened.
Yes, exactly. I mean? So imagine that. Imagine you go ahead and you're like, yes, I'm going to invest in this. They're making this new project. Yes, there's only 40 years left on the land. You pay for it. You get into debt. You start this mortgage. And then they drag out the construction process for another 5 years. So now it's only 35 years. If you move in, you'll only have 35 years left on your lease anyway. But then something goes wrong and it gets held in limbo and they don't finish the project and all this. This is what they're talking about house failure here. Yeah. So now the 8th star is unemployment, mortgage, negative price, whatever that is, raising a baby. I guess
negative price is debt.
Debt. Negative price. It's a very interesting way to say debt. Yes, exactly. Raising a baby, stock trading, illness, house in ruins, and Maotai village. What is Maotai village?
What that actually means, that's a bad translation. Maotai, people are hoarding Maotai because there's nothing to invest in anymore. So people have these like harems of Maotai.
Okay, Maotai is alcohol, by the way.
It's
very famous. Very famous baijiu, yeah.
So that's the top. The top. 8-star general of the Misery Grand Slam.
And I've been hearing this go around for a while.
This is massive now. So what this did is there was a famous comment in this post, right? And it was someone on Xiaohongshu, which is a Little Red Book.
Yeah.
It's an app.
What's this? Is this related?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain in a second.
Yeah.
Some people say that history has garbage time. This quote spurred an entire internet revolution in China because what garbage time is at the end of a basketball game when it's already kind of, you already know who's going to win or whatever.
So if you've got one team's got 50 points, the other one's got 0.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 minutes left.
You're not going to catch up.
Yeah, no one can catch. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's called garbage time.
Okay.
It means it's meaningless, right? If you want to use this in an analogy for like Chinese society, it means that why put in the effort? Why do all this stuff? Because we're in garbage time now.
Sure.
Insinuating that the current political situation in China has put people into garbage time, meaning that there's no way to get out of this slump. Like the country is portraying propaganda like it's all rosy in China when it's not. We know it's not, right? Yeah. And this is what happened. People started to attribute this and misattribute this. You go to the next. We'll come back to this. This is just a great article about it in Chinese. You can probably translate it in Google or something. They're misattributing this whole like history in garbage time to this guy, Ludwig von Mises. Okay, he was an Austrian free market economist, and the reason that they're
does he come from a long line of mice?
I don't know.
I am von the Mises.
There's a reason they're doing this. His whole the crux of his philosophy was that the more a government dips their fingers into the economy or tries to control the economy, the more failure the country will go through, the more problems the country will have. So it's best, you can have an authoritarian dictatorship or whatever. He doesn't say this, but like the idea in China is you can have authoritarian dictatorship. You got to let people make their own money. You got to let people run the economy and have businesses and things like this, right?
Yeah, so you can provide stability, but let the people generate their own income. Yes. Don't meddle with that too much.
No intergovernment intervention in the economy. You can imagine the Chinese government isn't too keen on seeing this guy being quoted in these viral posts with hundreds of millions of people looking at them.
No.
It's nuts, right?
They don't like it.
They hate this. So what happened was there's an author for the Economic Observers, Ma Xiangyang, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess in an article, he kind of interpreted this as a reference to the current era, but he used the Ming Dynasty as like the way to like portray what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. It says that as far as the Chinese history is concerned, the Ming Dynasty opened by Zhu Yanzhang is a typical historical garbage time. He started his empire with empire dream of severe punishments and harsh laws and wanted to protect the family's name for generations. Objectively, it only extended the length and depth of the period of darkness. So you understand it's an analogy for currently what's happening, and now the government's losing their freaking mind.
Yeah, but they don't want to be compared to the Ming Dynasty.
No. Because this whole lying flat thing, they kind of left that behind them, right? It's still a thing in China.
Sure.
But this is now really taken off. You go to the next slide here.
Sure.
This has become a huge thorn in the CCP's side because this kind of means that there's inevitable failure at the end of the road here.
Yes, that means that there's a road plan for failure.
Yes. When the whole thing about the Chinese government is that we're the only country that's doing things right. We're so successful. They drank their own Kool-Aid for so long now. Yeah. We're so successful that the rest of the world can crumble, but we will be on the right path. Chinese people look around, they say, well, my neighbor's shop just closed. I'm in massive debt. My house wasn't finished. I'm in debt to the property company.
Yeah.
My son just got out of college and makes 2,000 or 3,000 RMB a month with a master's degree.
And suffering from a respiratory illness because of the factories nearby.
And the pollution and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And you look around and all of a sudden it doesn't matter what the propaganda says anymore.
Sure.
And I think I love this sentiment going viral in China because it really humanizes what's happening. I think a lot of us can look at the propaganda and say, oh, well, screw the Chinese government, it's bad, or whatever. But you know, I think as a casual observer of China, you'll forget that people have to live there, right? Hundreds of millions, a billion plus people have to live there, right?
Sure.
And they are not stupid. They don't walk around looking around saying like everything is freaking awesome, right?
Yeah, but what they do is they compartmentalize.
Yes.
So when you hear somebody complain about like, I got sick and I lost my job and this and that, they're like, well, that sucks for you, but at least it doesn't happen to me.
Yes.
And the government keeps telling me that everything's great. So you're just unfortunate.
Yes.
You just happen to come across some unfortunate times.
Right.
But you see it happen more and more and more.
Yes.
You still ignore it, but then it happens to you, and then you're like, wait.
And that's what's happening. It's happening to you now. And
that's when people take it seriously. That's the unfortunate thing about Chinese society, is that people live in their own little bubbles, their own little support communities, their little their family.
It's by design.
Yeah, the Chinese government wants it that way, so that people, when they see this tragedy around them, they just like, oh, that's someone else's problem, not mine.
Yes,
and they don't attribute it to the government. But when it happens to them, then all of a sudden they realize, holy crap.
I want to quote the Chinese government here, okay?
Okay.
Because they are, like I said, it got so viral, it got so out of control that they can't, not only can they not censor it, they have to like combat it now.
Yeah.
So this is from Renmin University, right?
Yeah.
A closer look at, this is talking about the garbage history, right?
Garbage time, yeah.
A closer look at this pseudo word reveals that it is more dangerous than the lying flat theory in recent years. It completely denies China's current development situation and attempts to create public expectations that the country will eventually fail, right? And it keeps going. They even put out an article in the Beijing Daily. It said, history's garbage time, true or false? Now, it's wild to see state media even using this headline.
Yes.
Right? This is unprecedented.
It's because it's spread too much.
It is too much.
Yeah.
Is there any garbage time in our history? This is a false proposition that is not worth refuting. This is a 3,000 character piece, by the 3,000 word piece.
Wow. It's not worth refuting, but I'll make a 3,000 word
Tell me you don't care without telling me
exactly.
You don't care. Yeah. History's garbage time, true or false? An advocacy and incitement with ulterior motives. It goes on and on to talk about this Mises theory about government intervention. They're going on about how this is nonsense.
Like all these mice sitting around making up a theory. I'm sorry. I don't know why. This is Mises thing.
I'll say Mises. Maybe it's Mises. This theory that the government shouldn't intervene in the economy because the whole part and parcel of how the Chinese government operates right now is we will control the economy to make it good for you as a normal person. And people wake up and they go, my life sucks. This is really bad. I have no incentive to move forward because the economy is doing poorly.
Yeah.
So this is one thing to watch if you're like a China watcher or whatever. This is one thing that really, if you look into it, on the surface it's like, oh, a viral internet post, but deep down, this is where the real deep-seated resentment and hatred of what's happening in China is happening with the average person.
Badminton, believe it or not, is incredibly popular in China.
It is. Why would we not believe that, though?
Because it's not popular anywhere else. Hunting camouflage, personal dress-up shorts, tactical training skirt for men's Scottish kilt.
Look at the photo they used.
What is this?
I just love that he's wearing a dress.
He's wearing a dress, and it looks like he's wearing like a bra.
Like, I don't think we took that in. That is absolutely absurd.
Fidget spinner, knife, outdoor folding blade, stainless steel camping knife, military knives, but it's got a knuckle duster built in, so you can like punch someone, and then at the same time as you're punching them, sever your own artery or body, you know.
When I take a breath, you feel